So wait. I was saying something about what George had put up. So what George put up was that America has had this law since 1865 or something like that, right? Where they do not allow polygamists into their country. George, I want you to come in here and tell us about that tweet that you put up. Jorge.
What's up, George?
So you said if the alphabet people would hear us speaking about this, then they would do something. And I want to pause for enough moment for somebody who would want to say about it to raise their hand and speak before me so that we can have that discussion.
There's somebody because, wait, hold up. She belongs to the streets. No, that's not a guy who was pushing the agenda. All right, go ahead, George.
Because we have seen this game being played before. I was watching a clip, I believe, by Zain Vaji. Zain Vaji, for those who don't know, was together with Mwaura, the very first TV anchors when the airwaves in Kenya were opened to a second TV station before we had KBC, which was a government-owned Voice of Kenya. And Zain Vaji now had found her way to Uganda and was questioning Museveni about gays.
Do you personally dislike homosexuals?
Of course, they are disgusting.
We saw twice in the two terms of Uhuru Kenyatta, the West came calling in the name of Anand Power for CNN, asking Uhuru Kenyatta about gay rights in Kenya.
Their privacy, their equality, their rights is important.
This is,
but it's a global issue right now.
We saw, even before our very dear president was sworn into office, Anand Power came back calling. What is her first name? The Iranian woman. That was for CNN.
I'll tell you just now. Christian
Amanpour. Christian Amanpour. She came calling before our President Ruto was sworn in as president. And the burning issue was gayism and gay rights in Kenya and to an extension because of Uganda in Africa.
Before I ask you to flesh that out and what exactly does it mean, I want to play you what President Kenyatta said to me about this issue.
And as you were pointing out, my response to that kind of energy is gay rights are in your laws, or whatever you want to call it. That is your law. What is also in your law is banning polygamy. And on the flip side, what is in our constitution is allowing polygamy. So you are telling us that if we appointed an ambassador to the US who has 2 or several wives, he cannot be allowed into the US. That is your law. There is real live ramifications of your 1882 law. 1882 is the year that law was created. And you are telling us if a family sends their daughter to America and 4 years later they need to graduate and the father with his wives go to the embassy to ask for a visa to go to the US, you would deny them that joy because they practice polygamy that is outlawed by a 200-year law in your country. We respect that. Anybody, 500 million people who come to America every year, sign a paper attesting that they are not going to come here to practice polygamy. We respect that. But in the same spirit, in the same energy, that we can respect such an outdated, in our own eyes, law of yours, don't fuck with us. Don't fuck with other people's culture. Don't go out there questioning our constitution, questioning our beliefs, questioning our heritage, questioning our culture. You have no right to dictate to anybody outside of your borders how they conduct themselves. And may I remind you also, we have seen you, Americans, kissing us to the Arabs when you want something from them. Whether it's Hillary Clinton, whether it's Michelle Obama, whether it's Condoleezza Rice, whether it's Laura Bush, when you take those trips to the Muslim world, when you want something from them, your women pretend to dress like the culture dictates in those countries. So you can also pretend for 27 days and follow the laws and the rules and the regulations and the requirements of every country that you step into. And one more time, don't fuck with us, because we don't fuck with your own 200-year law.
Jeffrey, what do you think about what George just said?
Well, some of the things I agree with, but I wanted to chime in with the causes. You know, everybody wants to be involved in a cause, and I think one of the problems when we have causes is that when you get your cause recognized, these people don't know when to stop. You know, no matter what cause it is, it's like sometimes you just have to know when to stop. You got what you wanted, so now you can stop. You know, and then the problem when it comes to that is that political parties choose causes to chase after. And then once causes have been implemented, the parties are still doing extreme versions of these causes, which blow up in people's faces. That's why things are blowing up in people's faces right now. Well, we don't need these causes. It could be so simple. Like when I was growing up, we already decided these causes, and you're right. You deserve whatever to be happy. If you want to love a man or you want to love a woman, that's up to you. But it's still blowing up in our faces because the political parties wanted to blow it up in our faces because maybe they run out of important things to talk about, you know? So it's one of those things that, and even with the feminist movement, like where I live, I've got involved in politics, and there were people with feminist movements, and I try to explain to them, I see you with the same power as me. And I agree that but they still want to fight. They still want to continue that fight. So there's something else, and is the political parties part of the problem? Because they're very slow. Political parties are so slow. Everything happens in the human nature way faster than the political parties because they pick the causes and then they spend years and years and thousands and millions and billions of dollars promoting something, but it was already resolved. That problem's already done. Why are you still talking about that? It's like we're moving so slow because these people's causes are not fast enough for human nature. You know, I just want to be happy, and I'm respect anybody else who wants to just be happy, whatever the hell you want. You know, but leave me the fuck alone and let me live my life too. And I'm gonna let you live yours. Thanks, Kibi.
Jeffrey, when
Yeah,
you are
George.
talking about causes and when you let them in, you never they never know when to stop. My mind went to the 60s Olympic when the blacks were protesting on the dais after winning medals. And it has degenerated to as recently as 2019 when they were kneeling at the NFL. Same cause, 50 decades later. Is that a similar reference of people don't know where to stop or when to stop?
You know what, George? I wouldn't even want to explain that one because I was grown up in a Western culture where it's dangerous for me to even talk like that because I'm a white person, right? So if I was going to I've already been hypnotized to the bullshit. I can't even have a real conversation about stuff like that. But believe me, that movement has been fucking politicized to the fucking shit, you know? And it's not anymore about human beings. Like I grew up, all my friends were fucking all cultures. I grew up in Canada, man. You know, and I had every fucking culture as my friend. You know what I mean? So, it's a political thing again. And then from your perspective, George, I wouldn't know how to really perceive that because you're perceiving it different from me. I'm perceiving it more. It's a touchy subject. You know what I mean? But it's also something that I believe that I didn't have this problem. And why are they making this a problem? You know?
Well, I think you're also talking about a situation where you're now discovering what discrimination actually looks like and feels.
I think. Hang on, YZ, hang on.
Hear ye, listen up. This meeting of the gay agenda has been called to order.
BTC, you're already in. Continue with your sentence.
Well, I mean, look, I was interested in this chat because of the red pill reference. I think I'd be interested if there's anybody here who wants to debate whether or not freedom is an important thing, not to themselves. I think everybody believes in their own personal freedom. So is there anybody that believes different?
So we can cut through the bullshit and straighten it up, like since the Obama days, and actually with that woman who took the law the case to the Supreme Court, gay relationships have been recognized by the federal system, correct?
Well, indeed, but any interracial relationship was also dealt the same way just a few decades ago.
So we are not interrogating the morality of the relationship. Nobody here is questioning that. What we are saying is other countries have laws in the books, and in case of Kenya, my own country, in a very new constitution that allows polygamy. So I'm drawing complete neutral, non-controversial aspects.
Oh, I definitely see your point on that. Look,
if my country has allowed polygamy, but because US still have a law in the books from 1882, that's the year, 1882, then we cannot send a man with his 2 bitches to America.
Yes.
So in the same page, if the whole world, 500 million visitors come to the US every year. If 500 million people are made to sign a piece of paper to obey that 1882 law, then it would be fair for the US to look outward and obey whatever draconian, primitive, uninformed, selective, whatever bullshit you want to call law of that country.
That's an absolutely solid argument, in my opinion. Everybody has a right to their own national and their own sovereignty and their own politic. I get that your country should have a right to decide what it believes, and people should absolutely respect the laws that it comes in there. But you also have to know that you're in a global economy, and whether you believe it or not, even whatever currency you're currently using is tied to the US dollar. Now, when we can go out and print all the money we want, and we can go out and buy all the politics, all the resources we want with that, every other nation's in a precarious position. So appealing to US sentiment, I think, makes sense economically. But it's a horrible thing when we get divided on that and lose track of what the money is. Go ahead.
Let me stop you there.
Go.
The world does not revolve around the US. That's a lie that your closed-minded society has made you believe, because the only thing you hear is that which you want to hear and has been designed for you to hear it, whether it's through your medium or it is through your politicians. You can scream all you want of your might and greatness, but in late 1990s, China was nowhere in the charts. And look at them now. You can scream all you want. We give you that. But your economy is diminishing. And other economies are rising. There is a country in West Africa and has discovered oil in the middle of the ocean. It is the fastest growing economy in the world today. Eliminate all the corruption going on whether their money ends up in a bank in the DC bank.
Obiang controls in excess of 60 accounts at this bank, including the one where oil companies deposit royalty payments.
Eliminate all that. The fundamentals are they are growing faster than United States of America can fathom. China, in our eyes, have dominated the rest of the world. China has built these ships, these weapon carriers in the ocean, bigger than the ones that have in existence in America. They have reclaimed shallow waters in the middle of the ocean near, what is the name of that little country? It's not coming to me right now. But
Hong Kong.
Southern Sea. No, we are going to get to Hong Kong too. There's a Southern Sea where they have this country that compete with Africans to take migrant workers to the Middle East. That's the country I'm looking for. Philippines. Yes, Philippines. They have created landing spaces in shallow waters in the ocean, reclaimed it into land for military purposes. US can do nothing about it. You can scream all you want of your might and power and the US dollar that is worthless. They have transversed the entire stretches of the coast of Africa and put them in a bind where they are tricked into being unable to pay for the infrastructure that is being built for them, whether it's Malawi, whether it's the oil producing country on the west coast, in southern Africa. All these ports, including one in Kenya that is about to slip away from the Kenyans, those are strategic positions that they are projecting long term as a launching pad for their might. America cannot do any of those things because of, quote unquote, your moralities. And China can plow through all that noise, regardless of what you say today. Even today, as they were having a talk with Biden, they are going to turn around and do the opposite of what they promised to do. Okay? The influence that America had in the 60s is now in the hearts of the Chinese. They have been crying foul all they have been wanting to against North Korea. North Korea has never paused to do that which they believe they need to do to be a dominating power, to resist the United States, and to match their neighbors, China. So all this hullabaloo is just noise that is an echo chamber from within the US. But the realities on the ground are different. And that's the danger of American society telling their kids that we are the best. Okay? Show me number two. How are they faring? Not as bad as you want us to believe. Can we clear that one out? All right, YZ, sorry.
For the African society, I would say is we should stand firm, like the Middle East community. They stand firm and say we are not going to allow you to corrupt our culture, and we are going to stand firm. For the same for the African society, we should stand firm, not allow these to come and corrupt our culture. But I have a question for all of us in the space. What do you think of? Should we remain conservative, or should we allow this liberal, or maybe some changes in the community? I would like to hear probably Ike Watson, what is your take?
The issue of whether we should be conservative or we should be liberal. The clip that Andrew just played about the Maasais with Matt Walsh, asking them to define a man or a woman. Do the Maasais call themselves conservative or progressive? No, they are just true to who they are. End of story. I don't need anybody to define what I am as long as I know who I am. You label it what you think. That's your observation. But the Maasai is true to form. A man is a man and a woman is a woman. And when you say, what about if a woman wants to act like a man? The Maasai say, we don't have that here. That's your problem out there. And
whatever is considered conservative was at one time liberal.
So those are Western labels that they have zero meaning to anybody else. Because if you look at
what I'm saying is
Middle East, you're calling them conservative based on your perspective of their ideology, but they are just living their best life.
No, that's not how I would judge it. I think a fair way of understanding conservatism is that you want things the way they've been done in the past. But the reality is that throughout history, things have changed, and it was the liberals that brought change. It was the progressives that brought change. Liberalism is a little different.
How do you define communism?
Communism?
Yeah.
It's state-owned economies.
And it's bad, correct?
No, I don't see a difference between communism, socialism, or capitalism. Workers create everything you see, and at the end of the day, very few elite own and control it. They just use different words.
and we call it communist China as a good thing or a bad thing? When the American media,
they are beating America at capitalism,
China, right?
Say that again.
So you are hiding from saying the truth. So let me say it to you. When in America we say communist China, it's not an accolade. We're saying it in a negative connotation. But communism worked perfectly in your neighborhood.
Maybe that was Reagan era approach, but I think people are a lot more open to socialist ideas now.
But communism works perfectly in your neighborhood.
We have very much a state-controlled economy here as well. There's no economy that I know of that is actually free except for in Bitcoin.
I have not mentioned the word capitalism. I was trying to explain how America has demonized the term communism and socialism.
They have lionized socialism of late. And the early 20s, during the labor movement, it was highly lionized. It was just a conservative move. But you see, there's a problem with conservatism. They hang on to ideas long after it serves their own purpose.
So let me. Were you an adult when Obama was running the country the first time?
Yeah, I'm 52.
And you remember the fight that people had about Obamacare? They called it social medicine compared to Canada.
Yeah, but the crazy part was there was a real push for social for single payer here in the U.S. But what happened with Obamacare?
Let's not expound it. Majority of the people here don't even understand what we are talking about. My point is, they were demonizing what Obama was doing by calling it social medicine.
No, Obama won because he was spouting the idea of more single payer, which is socialism in a way for Americans. Yeah,
we are not doing the details. We are dealing with the ignorance of the Americans.
Well, I agree. Americans are ignorant. I'll give you that much. But I don't know. Go ahead.
People would go with these nighttime shows. Would go to a 60-year-old woman, and they would say, "What do you think about Obamacare?" They say, "That's bad. Get the government out of my health care." Okay, she is retired. She is on Medicare.
Social Security, Medicare. Yeah, it's just a hypocrisy. But
so that is the
again, you're talking about someone with a conservative mindset.
When they are confronted with the realities of other people outside the country, then that ignorance shows.
No, I agree.
That woman, the retirement system that is keeping the baby boomers alive, people the age of Bill Gates and Bill Clinton, is because they were forced into Social Security and they were forced into Medicare when they didn't want it as much as now, you and I's time, we were debating whether Obamacare was good or bad. But it's that level of ignorance that now I want to paint at how America wants to view other countries as if they don't have a brain of themselves, and they feel that it's their power because of what you started calling America's dominance to go to the Middle East and tell the Arabs how they need to treat the alphabet people.
No, I was very specific. I talked about the economic dominance and the U.S. dollar hegemony. Very clear with that. But you guys brought up the point about conservatism and progressivism. What I'm trying to point out is that the woman that you're referring to that had the problems with anything new, she's a conservative. You can't be aligned with, hey, my country wants to be free. Well, why the country? Just the individuals or the country? No, maybe you're not going to be free. Maybe you're still going to do what other powers want you to do, whether it's China or the US. And that's problematic. You're either going to decide you want to be free and you want to respect freedom of other people. You see, this is a logical issue. It can be a political one. I agree. Any African nation has a total control over their own body politic. They should vote it. But I doubt that's democratic either.
You see?
Do you understand?
You see? Because you're seeing it through the eyes of your own country. And you're saying,
no, I agree.
You doubt whether it's that democratic either.
Is yours a democracy?
Why is democracy a good thing? What is wrong with dictatorship?
Well, I do agree you're going to have to decide whether you want a tyranny of the majority or if you want a tyranny of the minority.
You call it whatever you want to call it, but look what happened when you reared your noses in Libya and destroyed what you called dictatorship. The country went to shit. So what's wrong with dictatorship? What is it you have done since 2002 in the Middle East that has made any part that you have taken war to look like Detroit or Los Angeles or Miami?
Well, look, I'm not here to defend U.S. policy for sure. I'm definitely not saying that. What I believed you guys were talking about was some red pills, and some red pills related to gay rights, right? Progressive, whether it's conservative. Look, at some point in the future, that's going to be a conservative position. You do agree societies change, and that change is necessary too. And that hopefully me and you both share the same idea that we should all be able to live our best life, our life. Do you understand?
One last question, and we read this.
Mm-hmm.
Are the churches in America conservative?
No,
Yes.
Not at all conservative.
Okay.
Not at all. Too many single mothers are infiltrating that place and destroying it.
So is supporting slavery a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, look, to me, there's modern forms of slavery. Look, if you're forced to pay child support with the threat of going to jail, that's the same situation.
That's not what we're talking about.
Go ahead.
Your churches.
Mm-hmm. Look, do you understand? Like, there's a historicity here. The conservatives wanted to continue slavery too, right?
That's where I'm headed.
Well, okay, so is the total aim of this about human freedom? Do you believe slavery was better? Or do you believe no slavery is better?
More recently.
No, I mean, I'm asking what you think.
You are Baptist churches and Methodist churches.
No, I mean, what do you think? Do you think slavery is good or slavery is bad?
Is that a moral question or a personal question?
A personal one for you. Which would you advocate for?
As long as I'm on the one on the top, I wouldn't mind either way.
Well, Lord, that's a horrible answer. You know that, right?
That is the position of the white male in America. As long as it's benefiting them financially.
No, this isn't a question that relates to America.
Bro, that is the reality of capitalism.
No, we're talking about slavery.
Who is on the top? Am I the master? Give it to me.
The very few elite people, the only thing that they have in common is their wealth and power. They don't give two shits about you. They don't give two shits about me.
Why is it going to break businesses if we raise the minimum wage to 15?
Look,
because
that's an absurd question to ask.
Looking for their interest. So that's modern day slavery, and he is the one on the top.
Give me
the top, and I'll sign off into that.
Every wage job is a form of modern slavery.
So here is my point. Let's add this in 2 points, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reason apartheid took so long to defeat in South Africa,
mm-hmm.
it's because the Methodists and the Baptist churches were invested in the gold mines in South Africa.
But that doesn't matter. Was it a conservative belief that they should maintain apartheid? Would you agree with that conservative belief?
The reason we sanitized putting children in cages in our borders with Mexico is because the conservatives supported it.
No, that's white racism.
Christian women thumping their Bibles, claiming the word of God, were at the border shooing away the children that had crossed through the border unaccompanied.
Exactly. And that's a conservative attitude as well.
You are Christians. The same Christians that were invested in the
No, I don't
Africa,
think there's not that many people who genuinely believe in Christianity here. Go ahead.
When Mandela became president, he was still designated as a terrorist.
But he was progressive. Do you see the point here?
And twice, a bill went to the Senate, and Vice President Dick Cheney voted against removing.
Yeah, they definitely had him on the terrorist
Mandela's name from the terror list. This is modern time.
Look, it's the same thing with MGTOW.
Before he was vice president from Wyoming.
Men are waking up to some of this stuff.
So you tell me what kind of conservative movement is you run in America that you can support all these kind of evils, but the one the rest of the world looks at as evil, that's the one you want to invest yourself in and say, no, you should not be harassing these people. It's inhumane.
Well, that's interesting. You use those language because
conservatives at the border championing for children to be put in cages that have crossed from Guatemala through the Mexican border.
I don't believe it's right to infringe on the freedom of anyone. You're the one arguing to infringe on the rights of gays. You're conservative. And it doesn't matter if it's a progressive run.
At the end of the day, that is what you want it to be, the soundbite. That this conversation was about denying gays' rights.
No.
This conversation was about obeying other countries' laws. The same way, half a billion people every year have to sign a piece of paper saying that you're going to obey an 1882 law of no polygamy in America. But that you don't want to hear. You want to squeeze in your little agenda.
I have no problem with that. I think I stated that from the beginning. The other people in this place also brought up the issue of conservatism and progressivism. I was addressing that as well.
I am a very generous guy. So this is it. Take that message that this channel was championing denying gays' rights. Go open your channel and bash us.
Why would I care to do that? I meet people like you every day. When I talk to...
Young, hang on one second. Jeffrey, did you want to say something?
Yeah, if I could just chime in there for a second. Thanks.